Hello and welcome to Inside Humphreys County. I'm Daryl Mosley. I'm the Executive Director of the Humphreys County Chamber of Commerce. And we're here today with a lady who is always around town, busy all the time. Miss Susan Goodman, who is the, and let me see if I remember this correctly, you are the Chief Encouragement Officer?
Yes, the
is
CEO.
That right?
That's what I like to be referred to.
Of the United Way. And,
yes.
You know, as I was doing a little research expecting you to come in today, I realized that I think the United Way in some ways is kind of like the Chamber of Commerce. Everybody knows we have one. Nobody's really sure what that means. And I think it's because you wear so many hats. What exactly, I mean, because now the United Way is Humphreys County and Benton County, is that correct?
It is, but they're two separate United Ways, two separate 501c3s, two separate boards, two separate processes. So it's actually two separate United Ways. But I am fortunate enough to do both counties.
But now, what exactly does that entail, and what do you do with the United Way?
United Way, of course, we started as Community Chest over 100 years ago, and basically in Denver there was a rabbi and another minister and a nun that got together, and they said if we could combine our forces here, we could take more care. Well, we could take care of more needs in the community. So that's how it started. It's been called UGF, United Givers Fund, but for the last 25 years or so, it's been the United Way. We like to say that we are not a charity. We are here to change the community, to look for solutions. We like to say that we're not just a fundraiser, we're a community impact organization, because we look at various needs, and that it depends on what community you're from as to what, every community is different. Mm-hmm. So we have volunteers that study those needs, and the agencies locally that help fund the needs, and then we bring those together. But we can't do it in a vacuum, and that's why being a part of the chamber has been so important to us. It's a way we can network with our workplaces, because we get a lot of our contributions through payroll deductions at workplaces. That's a majority. So it's a great way to network, and also thank these businesses, the smaller businesses, for supporting us, because we have a Good Neighbor radio auction in the fall, in November, and last year we tried to provide lunch at every day for that 2 weeks, and so we had lots of chamber members helping us. I know we had a pizza day, and Lance's and Bella Block came in to help us. Witt's Barbecue helped us one day. The KFC, Taco Bell, they provided chicken one day, and Taco Bar another day. I don't want to leave out anyone. We had, and Waverly Cafe provided soups one day. They're all chamber members, and so it was great to bring them in and have them be a part of what we do.
Now there are several, I guess, that are benevolent organizations, I guess, that fall under the heading of the United Way?
They are, and they're called partner agencies. They come to us every year, and well, not every year, but the ones that come to us every year and ask for allocations have to provide 10 to 12 pages of extensive information, including financial information. And just because an agency funded this year, they may not be funded next year, depending on the need and if they've done with the money what they say they're going to do. But for the most part, we keep. At one time, I think we had about 30 agencies. But then a few years ago, when the stock market crashed and when the economy kind of tanked, we had to become more focused in what we were in the needs in our community. So we decided to focus on 4 areas: education, income, health, and rebuilding lives. And as far as education goes, we are very supportive, especially of early childhood education, because all the statistics prove if you can start them early, with Imagination Library books, with those with special needs that go to Small Steps preschool, through 4-H programs, through Drug-Free Alliance, things like that, then we're educating those children. And we also are really excited about the Tennessee Promise program, where the 2015 graduates are going to get 2 years free, a community college or technical school. So we're looking for mentors to do that. We're working with Greg Martz at DuPont, and I'm trying to help find mentors. My husband and I plan to do that. I think we're going to partner. He's good at all the FAFSA paperwork, and I'm better at the encouragement support part. So we're gonna team together. But education is important. We all feel like we need to have a good education to get a good job. We have agencies that help with income, such as Tennessee Rehabilitation Center. They worked with 52 residents here in Humphreys County, even though they're located in Benton, trying to find jobs and put them back to work. People that have had, a traumatic brain injury or just have not been able to find work, they train them. We also have Helping Hands, which provides food and utilities, but it's more than just a handout, it's a hand up. We're not wanting just the Band-Aid approach. We're wanting to provide them with ways like cooking classes so they can make their food dollars stretch further. Budgeting, how to make a budget so that they can, live within their means. So that's one area. Health is also very important. Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. We fund all the senior citizen centers in the community, and they have different health programs that they offer. Plus, it's just a good time for socializing because we find so many seniors at home that have lost a spouse maybe and just kind of seclude themselves. So we're trying to get them out and exercising and socializing, and also they're good to provide food for those that are homebound. And of course we do the Meals on Wheels program as well for that, but we do like to focus on health. Another agency that we fund that's really helped people is the We Care We Help through the health department. And if they don't have insurance, it's a way that they can get subspecialty care that often saves their lives. And then we also focus on rebuilding lives. Child Advocacy Center does a great thing. They ask for funding to help these children who have been abused get through a very difficult time with counseling. I mean, because that affects their entire lives. And if you can get that counseling early, that's important. Domestic violence too, children and women in domestic violence situations. We fund Women Are Safe. Last year, I think there were close to 100 women and children who were given a safe refuge when they needed it. They are sent with court advocates to help them through that process. So it's we fund a lot of different needs and quite a variety, but those are our focus areas. And so it's interesting because the community changes. The needs we had when I started this in 1992, and that's kind of amazing that I've been doing this that long. But in 1992, we were funding some different organizations that we aren't now, because we're finding that those needs have been taken care of, or we're just really focusing on those critical needs, not wants, but critical needs in our community.
It's really a broad brush.
It is.
You cover so many different areas, and that it's all filtered through.
That's why it's called United Way, the United Way. We also, our theme is Live United, because we know we're not in this alone. We're in this together to help each other. And so the more we work together and network, and the better we are in our community. So we appreciate the Chamber and what you do to bring us together.
Well, happy to do that. Is there anything that maybe a misconception that the community has, or something that the community as a whole could do different or do better that would help you do what you do?
United Way. I think the biggest conception, Daryl, is that people think we raise the money locally and it goes off somewhere. It doesn't. It stays here in our community. It's not like these international organizations. There are over 1,200 local United Ways all across the country, where we do have to meet up to certain standards. We have to have financial standards and audit every year. So those are the things that are common about the United Ways. We have transparency. We're all working on in our individual communities, but we're autonomous. We have a local board, all made up of people right here. We have a committee called the Allocations Committee, all made up of folks right here in our community that work over 5 weeks to look at all the applications and determine the most critical needs and make the decisions on how the money is allocated. The good thing about United Ways is you can designate your gift to a particular agency, and we honor those, so we don't change that in any way. Someone asked me a good question this year. Well, why do people designate? Why don't they just go directly and give to that agency? The reason is a lot of our industry have matching corporate gifts, and so they can give more through United Way. And also, if they're doing it through payroll deduction, it's a little bit all along the year, so they're able to it's more convenient, and they can give more. And so it's great that our workplaces do honor those payroll deductions. But you can designate. We have about not quite a third, maybe a fourth of the people who give to United Way designate to a particular agency because they're fond of it or it's touched their family in some way. And between the 17 agencies we currently have, with the statistics they provide us, at least 1 in 2 people are touched by one or more of the agencies that we serve.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot. So we feel like we're making an impact, but we're really changing lives and improving the quality of lives of hundreds of people in our community.
Wow, what a great thing. Mm-hmm. How did you end up doing this?
Oh, that's a good question, because I was a teacher.
That's where I met you as a teacher.
Yes, and I love teaching. I always thought I'd go back to teaching, planned to go back to teaching. Took some time off when April was born, and then Lance came along. It's funny how life throws you curveballs sometimes. 25 years ago, I lost my oldest brother, Don, who was a civil engineer from UT Knoxville, decided to go to work for my dad at Camden Lumber Company in Benton County, and he was 37. Like I said, was a wonderful person, but he had an addiction that I didn't know about, and he died of a cocaine overdose. And that sent my life in a totally different direction. About a year after he died, the Drug Free Alliance was looking for volunteers to teach a class on how to raise drug-free children to parents. And so I signed up, and it was funded. The class to train volunteers was funded by United Way through the Drug Free Alliance. I found out later. But I spent 2 years in Benton and Humphreys County getting parents together to teach this class, and I'm hoping to resurrect it through the Hope Center this year too. But it was a real blessing in my life at that time. It helped to turn this negative into more of a positive. So when someone asked me to serve on some of these United Way committees, like the allocations committee and the board, I said sure. And then about 2 years after that, the lady who had been directing the United Way here from Nashville called me up, and she said, well, they're going to restructure this, and they're looking for someone locally to run not only Humphreys, but Benton County, where your brother was from, on a part-time basis. Would you be interested? So I talked it over with my family and decided, me and my children were in school, and decided, yes, I think I did want to do this. And that was 22 years ago. And here I am today. But I was led to this work by my brother. And so I continue to do it.
You still seem really passionate about it. That's the thing.
I am.
It's not a job to you, and it's obvious.
No, it's not. It really is a mission. It really is, becomes a way of life. And it's great to go to these workplaces now and have students that I taught, to see them, and then for them to give to United Way, want to give back to the community, whether it's their monetary gifts or their volunteerism. It does my heart good. So I do miss some of the interaction with young people, but I stay. I still am teaching. We involve young people in high school in our allocations process. And in our committees, on our board, we feel like we need to, really start them at that age. and so I'm still in contact with them in a way. But yeah, this is it. It very much is a mission. I have to tell you, some days, as we all have, it's like, okay, can I do this anymore? Can I go and ask for any more? Or because sometimes I feel like people are like, oh no, here she comes again. What does she want? What does she want this time? But it's great, because all you do is share your story and share some of these personal stories, and lives changed and people respond. And so it's very heartwarming to be able to do this. I tell someone if I did it for the money, I'd go back to teaching, and that's pretty sad, isn't it?
I understand what you mean, though.
But I do this because I do. If I get down one day and think, oh, I can't keep going, I just go and visit agencies and some of these people that are helped by some of the services, and that just gets me fired up. Or I keep pictures of my brother Don in my office. And by the way, First Federal Bank loans me space, so we don't have to pay any rent, no utilities. They let me use the conference room. In fact, they asked me if I'm using the conference room if they need it. But they've been great to just give me that space, and wonderful volunteers. I have probably in this community 400 to 600 volunteers that help, and I could not do what I do without their help.
Well, that's great. So now, if there is an individual or a business or someone who is either needing the help up or wants to help the United Way or help what you're doing, how's the best way to get in touch with you?
Sure. Just you can come by the bank, First Federal Bank in Waverly. I'm all the way in the back. Or you can call. Our number is 931, of course, 296-4588. That's our number. We do have a website. It's a little complicated, but it's UnitedWayBentonHumphreys.org. We do have a Facebook page, and during our radio auction, we put some of the items for our auction on that page. I'm trying to get more up to speed. Karen Davis has really encouraged me to try to get more with the social media. When I first came to this job, I had a typewriter and got a fax machine. Didn't have a computer for 3 or 4 years, and I got the person, DuPont used to loan me someone in the fall to help, and they were called a loaned executive, and I remember I got one about in 94, and he walked in my office and there was no computer. Before the end of the day, he had gone to another business and gotten a computer for me. So, I've just been blessed with people trying to help and do those kinds of things. So, that's very rewarding.
Get so many stories that you could tell.
I do.
That you remember.
Yes, I do. I have to share this one because I know your sister was the director of Small Steps when I first started this, Billie Jo Burnett. And if I wanted to get money out of anybody, I'd take her with me. Or anything. They were willing to give me anything after she spoke, because she was so creative about it. But it was so rewarding because she had a little girl when she was 3 in her class. And this little girl was not special needs. The beauty of that program is you bring the typically developing children together with the special needs. They learn from each other more than they do the teachers. And it's more than information they learn. They learn to be tolerant and accepting of the person. And Billie Jo had always told a couple of stories, and I didn't know until this year, because this 3-year-old is now 16 and was serving on our allocations committee. And I found out she was the little girl that the story was based around.
Wow.
So it's made it, full circle. But when this young lady was 3 years old, there was a little boy in the class in a wheelchair, and someone visiting the classroom one day, and this little girl overheard them say, well, what's his problem, or what's wrong with him? And she just looked at him and she said, oh, he has a drinking problem. And they were like, she said, yes, when he drinks his Kool-Aid, he spills it all over himself. So, I'm going to say her name, but I will. Lydia did not see that wheelchair. She saw that he was just a child like herself, another child like herself, and he had trouble, drinking his Kool-Aid. And then also this same little girl, they had a graduation, and this little boy, of course, in the wheelchair, had really no control of the lower part of his lower extremities. And they were doing, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, and then stomp your feet. And this little boy could not do that, but she just marched right over there and grabbed his pants legs and stomped his feet for him. So isn't that a great lesson that we can all learn on acceptance and, you know, looking at the person, looking beyond any disability that they have.
Right.
So it did my heart good to know that this, to finally figure out who this little girl was that Billy Joe had told all the stories about.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
And now she's involved in a whole different area.
Right, in allocating the money and, you know, visiting agencies. So that's very rewarding to see that.
Well, that's fascinating. Well, thank you so much for this. It's been an education for me, and hopefully for the folks that are watching as well. And I mean, I appreciate you and what you do for the community, and
thank you.
And know that, you know, the chances are likely that we interact with people all the time that are their lives are positively affected by your work. So, well, thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me
with the United Way here on Inside Humphreys County.